Hey, people, how's it going? Welcome. You are live on Shally's Alley, last episode of June 2025. It is Friday, it's 1 p.m., and it's a good day. It's a good day to have a good day. Right, Bill? It's a good day to have a good day.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Listen, every good day you wake up and you're on the top side of the earth, that's always good.
Every for me, it's like every day I wake up, I'm like, whoa, awesome. Um, So, folks, today I have a very special guest, and this is actually somebody that I have just met. We met 15 minutes ago, believe it or not, but I am thoroughly impressed with his background. The man with two first names, William Malcolm, former um, head of or director, I think is director of talent acquisition for the DoD Air Force, Air
That's
Force
correct.
veteran himself. um, let's see, magna cum laude from Trident University, went to work at Travel and Leisure and Savita, and was introduced to me by one of my colleagues, Paul Norman, who is a consultant with Riviera Advisors, like myself. And I was in a pinch because our guest today had to bail because of an important company meeting, and so it was kind of last minute. And I asked Paul, "Hey, would you recommend anybody that might be able to, join us?" And Paul said that Bill was available today, so he's like, "Let me introduce you." And I looked at his background and everything, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is perfect." So Bill or William?
I go by Bill.
Bill. Okay, so Bill has actually been building for the last 2 years at least, or been working at least for the last 3 years. I've been working on it. In the last 2 years, has been building a comprehensive AI strategy for a cancer center, which of course impresses the hell out of me because I am a cancer survivor. I had a battle with cancer that I dealt with for um, a little bit more than a year and 6 months. Now I'm in that like stage of like getting scans and everything. So, man, to me, anybody that works in cancer is a hero. So you're already my hero for being in the military, and then on top of that, like you're double hero for me. But Paul was telling me that you have been doing some really interesting things with, in particular, ChatGPT, but also generally speaking, all kinds of other AI initiatives. And I was really excited because I got to tell you, man, I've been trying to find real practitioners, not vendors, but actual people who are doing the job that have implemented what I would consider sophisticated AI. And let me qualify that by saying not just use ChatGPT to rewrite my job description, right? I mean, let's just face it, that's really not AI. So Paul was telling me that you actually do legit AI. In fact, um, he said that you one of the areas you worked in is you slashed onboarding by more than half, reduced onboarding time by more than half with AI powered workflows. So this is robotic process automation and the kind of promise the AI gives us. So I really wanted to dig into that if you don't mind. Um, so welcome, say hi to everybody, and I've got a question to start out with right away. So
All right. Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm super excited. This is a passion of mine, almost an unhealthy passion. I probably delve into AI about 4 to 6 hours a day, including during my workday. I listen to it in the background. I'm constantly looking at it. I get information fed to me by leveraging AI. I tell it what to
what
give
you want
me,
to look for?
exactly what I want to look for.
Oh, that's
So,
really good. You're gonna have to
yeah.
tell us a little bit about that. But I'm really curious about this AI powered workflow, man. What what's one piece of that transformation that most TA leaders overlook, but absolutely shouldn't? Walking through that, like what you did, onboarding using AI powered workflows. Is there anything that people just overlook, or and if you can't think of something other people overlook, that's fine. What was it that like was the change agent, the trigger that
Yeah.
was like, you know what? this is going to have to be.
Yeah, definitely. It's so when you say AI powered workflow, let's make that plural workflows.
Got it right, tied together.
I
Okay.
use
Yeah.
I use more than a dozen different AI engines on a daily basis, and that's just the popular ones, the Chat GPTs, the Claude, the Gemini, the Grok, the all of those, and then there's other ones that complement that. It's a great time right now because it's an AI race. Everybody is racing each other, and because of that, there is a lot out there for everybody to see. So using all of the different LLMs or the large language models gives me the opportunity to go out and create different powered workflows. And what I mean by those workflows is help me find a way to make the problem that we have more efficient. Help me guide me in the right direction so that I can take questions that the company has given me, that I can take direction that the company has given me, and actually put it on a path to help guide me. So when you talk about our onboarding that we did, where we did, I want to say it was about a 76% reduction, 75%, 76% reduction in the number of days. Yeah, to onboard, we were getting people scheduled for their initial appointment at a company in 10 days. Said,
Hmm.
here's your offer. And they were scheduling themselves for their initial onboarding appointment in 10 days. Um, we took that down to about 2.76 days just by leveraging and asking the right questions. We were doing all of that stuff manually,
Okay.
making
Right.
phone calls to people. And here's the thing, let's be honest, people don't answer the phone anymore unless it's mom or someone in your contacts. You better answer if it's your mom calling, right? Or someone in your contacts that you recognize. People just don't answer the phone. So we leveraged different scheduling tools to make sure that they were accessible to people. We were sending people emails saying, here's how your onboarding works. Here's all the things you need to do. In some cases, that included between 10 and 12 attachments. So all these are warning signs.
Pretty heavy. Yeah.
One, emails go to junk and spam.
Yep.
Okay.
We know that,
Two,
and that's happened for a while. Yeah. Yep.
absolutely. Two, people don't like attachments because of the nature of
Risks.
the world
Right.
we live in and the risk. So we exchanged that by using AI to build uh, websites that now we send people to the websites. We have all of the information that they need. So now we've
Hmm.
exchanged all of that with one small miniature link that we send
Wow.
them, and we say, go to this link. When you get there, you're going to ask to schedule your interview or schedule your appointment.
Right.
And here's all the onboarding that you need to do. Not only that, we were
Wow.
telling them, we were telling them, fill out these forms manually. Well, we used AI to build online forms.
To pre-fill.
I'm to pre-fill, fillable online forms. How did we create those? Guess what? I went to ChatGPT, I went to Grok, I went to others and said, make me a professional on Adobe Pro. I'm not an Adobe Pro professional,
Got it.
but I learned how to do fillable
So
forms
the form
in.
is Adobe. Got it. Okay.
So the form is Adobe
Right.
Pro. They fill it online. They click, submit. It goes directly into a mailbox here at the company. That was the life changer.
So what I'm hearing is that at least for this, maybe there's other, but for this, you did not buy a technology that existed from a vendor that was saying AI, 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 and it's the same vendor that 2 years ago was saying diversity, 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 and 2 years before that was saying semantic, semantic, semantic. You actually used technology you already have. Adobe Forms, for example, maybe something not everybody has, but some people will have DocuSign or whatever. You use that. You created an app and a website using rapid coding techniques through these assistants, these intelligent assistants, and you essentially created your own applications, apps. You made
Absolutely.
your own apps. Okay. So that's huge because this does partially explain the mystery of what I've been experiencing, and that is that I'm using a lot of AI, 60, 70% of my job but it's augmentative technology that I'm using to help me rapidly attain the same results that I was doing before. So I'm not doing anything different or new. I'm just doing it faster because of AI, and I haven't paid one dime more than the subscriptions that I already have. So I've got Gemini because I'm a Google workplace, whatever it's called, the Google
Google
professional.
Workspace. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that, so it comes with Gemini. I have Office 365 for life, and so that comes
Copilot.
with a Copilot. I pay for Claude and ChatGPT's $20 a month Pro, not the like whatever super super
Plus, yeah,
duper.
yeah.
Yeah, but those two. So I've got four essentially that I pay for, but that's what I'm paying for, and I'm paying for that to do everything from home cooking recipes to planning family vacations and work. So I'm sort of, I would have used them anyway, right?
Right.
So that explains why I'm out there looking for people that have examples of having implemented technology, and I'm not finding very many because the people who actually are doing it sounds like are doing what you and I do, which is bootstrapping existing processes by accelerating them using augmentation. Am I on the money here?
You are absolutely right on the money with it.
That's awesome. That explains so much, man. Really appreciate it. So, I want to talk about a couple other things that I just sort of pulled from, our from your content and stuff like that. A lot of people talk about AI generated job descriptions and chatbots, right? Chatbots, I wouldn't even frankly classify as AI because chatbots have been around for a very, very long time. And what we've done with them is we've made them more powerful because we've given them access to a lot more data. It used to be a chatbot could only answer the questions that you predicted people were going to ask, and you
Yeah.
programmed it to a logic tree. Now it can get a little bit smarter, but it also poses a bunch of other problems because it's too smart sometimes or has too much content. But people talk about the job description and chatbot. Um, you actually created a screener. So this is a chatbot
Mhm.
that asks questions instead of a chatbot that answers questions.
Yeah. So you'll Shally, you'll understand this right away. It's just a custom GPT.
Yeah,
That's it.
but
It's a
you told
custom
it what to
GPT.
ask.
I tell it
Okay.
exactly what to ask. So if you know anything about custom
You
GPTs,
gave it the
they're
screening questions.
absolutely, you give it the knowledge. You tell it how to think. So I fed it all of the knowledge. I put in what are the company's values? What are they trying to accomplish? What type of person are they looking for? Now, that's just the basics, okay? That's the very basics. Now, you want to get more intricate with it? Feed specific GPTs with, hey, you know what? The hiring manager is Paul Norman. And here's what Paul is like. Here's Paul's
Right.
LinkedIn. Here's his resume. Here's the type of person he likes to hire, for
And here's the
example.
roles he hires for.
The
And
roles,
right.
right? He's looking for a self starter, someone
And
who
here's
could
the screening questions that he uses.
here's the
Okay.
stuff he uses to prepare. So you load all that in there. And that, once you load in the resumes of the prospective candidates, you've already got the prompts that are in the pre-built prompts. So you only do it once, right?
Yep.
Then you put the prompts in and you say, okay, answer all of these. You let the GPT run. It runs through the entire thing. And then once you get through that, then you follow up prompts. Follow up prompts is
Okay.
okay. This is
Yep.
great. As a recruiter, give me the applicable questions I should ask. Okay. Then when those are done and you've got your answers, okay, as a hiring manager, based on everything you know, what should the hiring manager ask?
Ask.
So what you've
So
done
you're
with
helping
this,
the hiring manager with the follow-up questions.
well, you're helping yourself as the
Yep.
recruiter
Right.
because
Right.
you're getting the questions you should be asking that are relevant based on the job
Does it
description.
then give you a report on the answers and like gives you
It
some summary?
does.
Okay.
It sure does. Yeah. And then what you're doing is you're providing a fantastic service to the hiring manager by
Right.
saying,
Here's what the person.
instead of just asking the same stuff you ask all the time, hey, let's start with what's your favorite color, and all those goofy questions that people ask. You're giving them a specific set of questions designed on
Right.
what they like, what the company's looking for,
Right.
and what the candidate actually is designed to
So
do.
you can basically do what a recruiter normally would have done manually, which is here's the recruiter questions I asked. So you put together your executive summary for the hiring manager, and you
Right.
say, Mr. Paul, I interviewed this candidate. Here are the results of the interview. Here are my observations with regard to their qualification and how they match to the requirements. Here are the comments that they made and the questions that they asked, and the questions that you asked me to ask, right? And all that information, you give it to the hiring manager. And in addition to that, what you are doing now, what you didn't do before, is you're also suggesting here are some areas for you as the hiring manager to dig into deeper because they either were missed or covered or we don't have enough information, and their recommendations. Before, we used to recommend the hiring managers to ask certain questions, but they were based on an interview rubric or scorecard. Now you're doing that plus based on the actual results of the original interview.
Exactly. This
That's
gives them a
awesome.
roadmap. It gives them a roadmap, and not only that, but
Does it
when
reduce
you
the
can
amount of people they look at?
absolutely. Oh, 100%. Especially when you can build the GPT to have a prompt that says, here's all the information on this person. Go out, go out to the World Wide Web. Find everything you can about them. Go to their LinkedIn, go to their
Okay.
Twitter, X, go to all these social medias. Tell me what you can find out about them. When you're establishing rapport, whether it's a hiring manager or a recruiter up in the beginning, and you wanted to ask them questions, wouldn't it be nice to know the person you're talking to on the other end? You may have something in common with them. Hey, we both grew up in Buffalo, New York. We're part of the Bills Mafia. Hey, we're both baseball dads. This is some commonalities you may find. And let's be honest, in business, it's about recruiting. Or it's
Yeah.
about relationships.
Yeah, it's about relationships,
Mhm.
and this helps accelerate that. But also, I'm wondering, is that this is just because what I've run into, doing some rubrics and things like that. Is there a risk of false IDs or like sometimes? So you say go out and find anything you can about this person. Does it make mistakes or how do you prevent it from
Well,
like somehow finding Shally in India who is not Shally Steckerl and somehow associating that with me, and then all of a sudden the hiring manager's like, this profile says that Shally knows how to do video editing, but
right.
yeah, does
That's
that happen?
great. That's great because it's only as good as how you prompt it.
But
So
the prompts could be perfect. Doesn't it still run into like someone named Shally and it gets confused, or is it?
it could, and that's why in your prompts you put at the end of it, I need you to ask me all these other underlying questions to confirm and reconfirm that what
That
you
this is
have
the right
found
person?
is accurate. Right? If
Yeah,
there's when you're telling the AI, if there's any doubt in your mind on any of this, stop. Put that
and
information
ask.
in a secondary paragraph versus a primary. I basically, when I prompt it, I tell it I need the primaries along with validated sources. That being the key, the
Yeah,
validated
I've
sources, right?
learned that.
When you
Yep.
look at, you think about valid sources in AI, that comes to mind
Tell me where
perplexity,
you found the
where
information.
it comes, but now, with all the others, they give the validated sources. So a simple, and what's great about the AIs now is you do a simple mouse over, it brings up the little
Hmm.
thumbnail of it, and you can see, and you can hit it, get it, go, move along.
I've got I've got two recommendations that I wanted to make, but I'm gonna put a hold on that for a
Okay.
second here. And um, so I ask, uh, not ask. I guess I instruct. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm telling things to the AI, but like it's I'm asking, but I'm really telling. Um,
Mhm.
I basically say do not use any placeholders because sometimes they'll use placeholder text and they don't tell you it's there. So I do not use if you don't know, put missing or
Right.
whatever. Like do not use a placeholder. And then the other thing is, I specifically tell it. I don't know if this is the right way to do it or not, but I say absolutely under no circumstances, no hallucinations ever. Do not ever infer, interpret, or make an observation that is not verifiable by some source. If you don't know, just leave it out because I feel like sometimes it thinks it wants to answer the question. It will sort of fill in the blanks, which is what these models are supposed to do. So I'm
Right.
kind of telling it to be against its nature. Does that
It
that work? Am I doing the right thing, or me telling
you
it it's
are
still going to do it anyway?
no, you are absolutely on the right path. Now, what I would add with that also is um, people are now getting very hip to AI. Okay, so when you're doing that, also include no M dashes. Okay, that's that little elongated dash on there where
Dude,
people automatically know.
can you please tell me how to get rid of it? Because I,
Just put in
I have,
zero M dashes
I
EM.
have,
You have, and
I
it's still
have.
not
It
recommended.
still
Now,
comes
I will
back.
tell you this: I have to have it in every prompt. I have it in my custom GPTs as an education piece,
Yep,
but in every prompt I
that's what I
do,
did.
it's automatically in every one of them.
I put it in the model and I put it in the training, but I don't put it in every prompt.
Prompts.
I've reminded Chat GPT
Hmm.
um, Pro and Claude Sonnet Pro. ChatGPT Pro, I have reminded it at least 8 times during the middle of a project.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you put some M dashes in there. Like, do not ever. I've asked you before.
Right.
Commit this to memory. Remember this. No M dashes, and it still continues to do it.
Oh.
Claude did it like 3 or 4 times, and I got angry, and I like did I did something weird. I'm like, so Claude, I need to tell you something. I've asked you multiple times to not use the M dash. Why is it still being included, and how can I guarantee that it doesn't get included in the future?
Right.
And Claude came back and said, "Oops, you're right.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not going to include it from now on." And it finally stopped. But I had to
Yeah.
like treat it like a 2 year old. Like,
Right.
don't stick
Right.
your fork in the outlet. Don't. Bzzzt. I told you not
Yeah.
to stick your fork in the outlet. Bzzzt. Okay, how many times
Well.
do I have to? How am I going to tell you not to stick the fork in the outlet so you understand not to
Right.
stick the fork in it? And finally, it did. So okay,
And
I'm
you
glad
know
I'm not
what?
losing my mind.
Yeah, and I definitely want to get to the underlying piece of your question, but as you're going through those, with this being such an exciting time with AI, they're all racing each other. They know this. They know that people don't want the M dashes. It's people like you, me, and the millions of other people out there that keep telling it. I think just right now, example, I do notice with ChatGPT, they still continue a lot of that. That's why you have to be extremely specific with it. I think eventually they'll write it into what it is, GPT 4.5 or 5.0 is going to be coming out later this year. I think they'll eventually get there. But getting back to your point of with the prompts, um, I tell it, listen, don't just simply agree with me. I need you to be an intellectual sparring partner, right? So play devil's advocate and spar with me back and forth. I need you to, let's get to the bottom of this. We're working together as a team. You're not working for me. We're working
Gotcha.
together on this.
Interesting. Does it ever go too far?
No, 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 no. It actually goes right to the right amount, and it doesn't really go over the edge
It
unless I
doesn't go
keep
overboard.
prompting
Okay.
it. Yeah, as much as just keep prompting it.
So I read that you did some auto offer letters. That seems like it might be a little dangerous, but I'm sure you've got guardrails on it. Can you tell me a little bit about the auto offer
Yeah.
letter side of things?
So this is just very simple. This was just uncovering that the vendor that we were with does e-signature
Yep.
offer letters.
Right.
We were doing it where we would send it to people. They would print it out. They would
Hmm.
sign it. They would scan it. They would email it back to
And
us.
yep.
Super, super caveman type stuff.
Hmm.
We just understood, hey, they have the opportunity to do um, e-signature offer letters. The better part about it now, same problem that we talked about earlier, you can send as many offers to somebody's email as you want. But guess what? When it comes from an ATS, the chances of it going to spam or junk are very great. But when you can take a link that you send somebody and you can send it in a text message and say, congratulations, here's that offer we were talking about 2 minutes ago. Or even better yet, while you're on the phone call giving them the offer,
Okay.
you say, hey, pick up that computer in your pocket and I'm going to send you a text right now. Click that link on
Right.
there, and that's
Okay.
your offer directly
So
in
it's
front
not
of
an auto offer letter. It's automating the offer process with e-signatures and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. What about the Zoom SMS integration? What's that about?
Yeah. So we there's a lot of scheduling uh, organizations out there.
Oh,
Automated schedule,
yeah.
Calendly, Go Hire is another big one. So Zoom,
I have seen that fail miserably in so many ways. I wanted to find a way to get automated interview scheduling working, but it has been problematic.
yeah. So this one, the reason why it benefited and worked for us was we have an existing account with Zoom. The
Mhm,
onboarding appointments that we do are done via Zoom. So
mhm.
it just made sense that we call Zoom, turn on the suite of Zoom Scheduler along with Zoom SMS. And now, when we drive them to the scheduling link for the onboarding, and we say, click on this, it comes up, it built on a calendar across 4 people. It's called a one to many, meaning
Okay.
it's one person scheduling
One
against four,
scheduling
four
again,
people's
right,
calendars
right.
availability. They pick the available day time. It's linked directly to their Microsoft 365 Outlook calendar. And not only when it's scheduled does it go to the candidate's email, it goes with the link, the actual Zoom link right in there. You don't have to do anything secondary to it. That's really the driver behind us going from this 10 days down to the
Got
2.76
it.
days is because of
So
that.
for onboarding, I can see that being a little bit less complicated. Is it possible to do this with hiring managers?
We,
Because I ran into roadblocks, and I don't know if you have a solution for this. If you do, that'd be awesome. I'm like, this is worth.
yeah,
I should be paying you right now. But my scheduling robots, basically, they caused some problems. I'll give you two or three of them. There were more, but these were the ones that came up the most often. Number one, the hiring managers had a lot of placeholders, have placeholders on their calendar, for example, blocks of time. So things like heads down coding, no meeting Wednesdays, um, casual Fridays, stuff like that. And sometimes we're hard, do not schedule anything like for 2 hours, head down Mondays, definitely not. But some of them were, like it's no meeting Wednesday, but it's no internal meeting. That doesn't mean no interviews. So they block for internal meetings, but they still want to do interviews. And the calendaring system doesn't really understand that. It doesn't know that this is something you can overwrite and this is not. So that's one. Another one was hiring managers that didn't really keep their calendars really current and would like get scheduled and be like, "Oh, I'm not here that day." So their day to day, week by week, this week's calendar was okay,
yeah.
but a week out, if they had vacation planned, they didn't put it on their calendar. They ended up, booking things on their leaves. It wasn't as much. Their calendar is up to date today and tomorrow.
Right.
It's the days off and things like that. And sometimes some holidays that are not national holidays and things like that.
Right.
And then the third one was changes. I would have a hiring manager, and let me start by saying this was a cultural problem that we had to address, and it wasn't something TA was going to address. But we did have hiring managers who thought that they were better than that and wanted to reschedule the interview 10 minutes before the interview. So those are three scenarios where automated interviewing just kind of like I had hiring managers yelling and saying, "Stop it! We don't want to do this. It's just send them to me and I'll book it," because they just didn't want to deal with all these changes. Can those be solved? And I understand the third one is literally a cultural problem, but can those be solved with AI or not?
So, you could, in a piece of it, I got a couple different opinions on this. The first one being, can you use AI for it? I think about using Copilot, which matches with your Outlook 365.
But
You
that's
can go into Copilot and listen, you can type in there, here's my upcoming vacations, or I'm going to be out of office at a retreat or whatever. You
got it,
can tell Copilot, yeah, the hiring manager can
got it.
tell Copilot,
Okay, so it's
and
an
and
educational thing.
correct, and it will remember that. Okay,
Okay, all
if
right.
if you're that lazy when it comes to technology, but my initial thoughts lead down the road of there maybe not be that technology savvy because what it's going to come down to is that they're just going to have to be responsible to manage a
Yeah,
calendar.
which is a cultural
I
thing.
mean, which is it is a
What
culture.
about this? What about I was thinking about a interrogative robot. So what it would do is it would essentially create the candidate's availability schedule. So it would ask the candidate, "Hey, candidate, um, what are your hours availability over the next, I don't know, whatever, 5 days?" And then it would select from the calendar, "Here's when I'm available." And then it would send that to hiring manager number one and say, "Are you available at any of these times?" And then the hiring manager would pick one of those times. So think Calendly, but it sends the Calendly to the candidate. The candidate picks multiple openings. Then it
Yeah.
sends it to the hiring manager with what's remaining. And it says, "Pick from these." And then it sends it to the next hiring manager. And then it has the ability of reply to me if you need to reschedule. So
Mhm.
that way, the recruiter isn't the one that gets the message saying, "Hey, can you reschedule this?" It'll actually be doing it through email. Is that out there somewhere? It's not
It
really
is.
Calendly,
It's
is
what you're describing right there is in Microsoft Outlook,
it?
and
Okay,
and
okay.
quite honestly, is Microsoft Outlook is a fantastic
And you
tool.
can do that with
It's
an
just
external candidate, not a
you
okay.
sure can. It's
Okay.
just so there's so much in it. It's really just getting the information out to people. And I'll tell you, this is a little known thing. A lot of things that drive my um, curiosity is Instagram Reels, TikTok, um, LinkedIn videos. That really those short snippets that give me just I want to know a little bit more, and then that drives me to a YouTube channel or to a podcast or to a webinar or something like that. So it's how did I mention that one about Outlook just right now? I saw a TikTok 2 nights
Okay.
ago about doing exactly what you were talking about.
That makes sense. Well, that's
Going
what I
in
was
there
kind of
and
thinking is it would probably be possible, but I just wasn't
yeah,
sure if it was because
oh yeah,
Calendly doesn't really do it. And I do like those online calendar tools for me because I can send a link and someone can schedule time on my calendar. But I
right.
have my calendar up to date and I still make mistakes. I mean, I
Oh
booked
yeah,
somebody for 4th of July
hmm
and
right,
hello.
right, yeah,
Like,
exactly,
I should have known better, but I didn't.
yeah.
So there you have it. All right. Before I ask you the next question, I told you I was going to. You've given me like thousands of dollars worth of valuable consulting already.
Yeah,
Let me return the favor. I don't know if this is worth
sure.
thousands of dollars, but it's probably worth at least 5 cents. So my new browser is this. This is my new browser. Notice anything weird about it?
Uh, no, just very basic. It's ChatGPT, right?
Nope. It's a
No.
browser. It's a browser.
Oh, hold on. Is this the one out of? Is this the new Gemini one?
Nope.
I mean, it's pretty small on
It's
here.
from the browser company, and it's called Dia, like day in
Dia.
Spanish. Yep. But let
Okay.
me just show you. Let's say that we wanted to do interview scheduling for recruiting. So it comes back and says, "All right, automated interview scheduling. All right, okay." So then I can say, "What are the best options for automated one-to-many interview scheduling in recruitment?"
Mhm.
So what this does is this is a fully integrated AI that
Mhm.
knows everything about me. So it knows all of my hard drives, my cloud storage drives. It
Yeah.
knows my technology stack. It knows my email, everything, and it's completely like these guys are super paranoid about privacy and security.
Yeah.
And I double triple checked. I work for the government, so I double and triple checked this. So it only uses information that I authorize it to use, but it knows me really well, and that everything that you do with it is a chat. So, for example, let's say that I wanted to open that one, and I don't know anything about that one, and I do know Paradox, and I do know greenhouse
Oh yeah.
scheduling. So let's see. Okay. Are there any options for um, email confirmation one to many? And let's see what it says. All right. So those are the same. So let's use Paradox because that's the chatbot we were talking about before.
Yep. Oh
Okay.
yeah, Libya.
Right. Now, here's the the kicker. So all of these, what it's doing is it's not browsing; it's telling me about the
Right.
features. Right
Mhm.
now, I can come back here and I can say, create a comparison table between Calendly, Good Times, and Paradox.
Now, as you're doing this, do you have licenses with those?
No, but I can. Like
Okay.
I don't right now. It's just giving me the information. So
And
let's say that I wanted to open Calendly, right?
yeah.
Calendly. So I'm going to go to Calendly here. No, not calendar. Calendly.
And the reason why I asked about the
Calendly.com. Yeah.
licenses, yeah, the reason
Why?
why I asked about those is what maybe just a difference of how things would be done. I would say, here's all the things I have access to. Can you
Oh yeah,
help
I
me
have that.
build
I have
this
that. Yep,
myself? Yeah, yeah. Can you help
I
me
have that.
build this myself? Like the
I'm just trying
what I,
to show the browser
yeah,
capabilities
yeah,
right now.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it was good time. Calendly, what was the other one? Paradox.
Paradox. Yeah,
It's paradox.ai, I think.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
There we go. Okay. Right. So let me rephrase that here and say between Calendly, Paradox, and Good Time. There you go. So now in this chat, I'm mentioning the other tabs, right? And it actually uses all of the tabs. It can reference the tabs that you have open,
Mm-hmm.
and it does the work for me. Um, so this is basically it's a changing the perspective from the browser is something that you use as a window to look at the internet
Mm-hmm.
to one of the browser is a prompt and everything
Right.
you
Oh,
do is
okay.
prompt based.
Yeah.
You see how that works?
Yep. Yep.
That's kind of like the difference. This is the old way,
Yeah.
and that doesn't work anymore because I have to go through all of that stuff, right? This is the
Right.
new way, and that's what I'm doing now. And then you can also do these things called skills. Let's see if I can actually build one from here.
And when you say it's doing, is this running like an operator style thing, like with ChatGPT Plus?
It's its own, yeah, it's theirs. It's proprietary
Okay.
because it's secure. But yeah,
But is it running? Is it like operator where it's doing the work for you on each of those tabs?
yes, but
Okay.
it's not connected to ChatGPT unless you wanted to.
Right. Right. Right.
You would have to tell it to do that. Otherwise, it's going to use the browser company's one, right?
Okay.
And this is the other thing is the skills. You can program skills. So you basically can create a skill that does whatever you want. And so this is what you were talking about here, right? So I could make a prompt that does the work when I use that skill. So this could be, for example, scheduling. I haven't done it yet, but I just could do schedule, right? So book a meeting between people in this email using Calendly. Avoid the M dash, don't book
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So the prompt then becomes permanent as a skill. You never have to type the prompt again. I know that
Right.
seems basic because like, oh, you could save your prompts in a prompt database, or
Hmm.
you can tell ChatGPT using projects. That's the other
Right.
thing. You
Hmm.
know, during projects and stuff like that. But this is different in that it's kind of like built into the software, and all you have to do next time when you do this is just type in the prompt for schedule,
Mhm.
I would have to be in my Gmail, and then it would know because I'm in Gmail, look at the people in the email, and then send them all calendar requests using Calendly. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And you know what? Like they'll eventually, just like ChatGPT with connectors, they'll get connected. All of these AI companies will get connected,
Yeah, yeah. This is kind of
the
the
others are.
bridge right now,
Yeah,
but
it'll connect your G
to me, the
Drive.
biggest change that I think you would enjoy is the fact that the browser is no longer a browser with favorites and bookmarks, and it's basically a prompt, and everything starts with "do this" or whatever. And it does have your bookmarks; it remembers all of
Yeah,
them, but you don't have to save bookmarks. You don't have to, because it tracks everything in the back end, and you can just automatically do it. So,
right.
thought you would enjoy that.
Oh, absolutely. It remembers. It remembers. Hey, you searched for this, this while
Right.
back. I'm going to bring that up again. Or yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
One of the other things that I found on the projects that you were listing is you have a requisition authorization request. Now, I built something for this in Workday a long time ago,
mhm,
3-4 years ago, and it definitely wasn't using AI, and it was a big deal. But it sounds like the one that you did is pretty much kind of a workflow or multiple workflows for position authorization using AI, and it said on your project listing you saved $12 million.
we sure did. Par levels. So
How
it's
did you
periodic.
convince people to trust uh, the process of requisition authorization to a robot?
So it's a lot of it was just based on letting them know. Number one, focus on your vacancy. Okay, we're not going to scrutinize you having to fill replacement positions. Those are well within budget. Okay, what we will scrutinize is growth. Do we have the ability? The company knows if they're going to be able to grow based on obviously revenue. So, with that being said, it's really just programming and saying, okay, we know what our growth is anticipated to be. We want to make sure that we are managing that. But by letting them know upfront, your requisitions shouldn't go over this amount. And that even feeds down the line. We get super specific. Hey, you should hire this many per month, even this many per week. So keeping them on that straight line, and these are for a lot of the ones that don't have like Workday, like position management. Position management in Workday, super simple. You have a position that goes vacant. Guess what? It's going to ask you, would you like to open up the requisition? Very
The
simple.
problem was that they were just opening them willy nilly and they were giving them different names and not using standards. So we ended up having to create a position management application that I used back then. What I ended up doing is I used robotic process automation
Yeah,
using Microsoft Forms and the Microsoft RPA tool. I
yeah.
Power Automate.
Power
Power
automation.
Automate.
Yep,
Yep. And
yep.
then connect. So that was like early on AI in the sense
Mhm.
because it was more like automation. But yeah, that was challenging because everybody wanted to copy and paste or use the same thing from last year, and things have changed. Like we have different
Right.
codes and all
Yeah.
that. So
And a lot of people, a lot of your viewers might be scared. I don't know what to do with Power Automate. Listen, I wasn't far behind, but when you can use Power Automate today with Copilot sitting right next to it and saying, "Okay, here's what you do next. Here's what you do next." It, as long as you know how to use the AI, anybody can be a professional on this stuff. You no longer need a Microsoft 365 expert to do all of this.
yeah, and you no longer need
Someone
the
who
RPA
knows.
stuff because that was clunky. Woof, that was
Absolutely.
hella clunky.
It'll teach you how to code. I built my son. I built my son. I was manually putting stuff into Chat GPT for him to learn vocabulary words and then printing it out on my printer. To me, that was primitive. So what did I do? I put the vocabulary words into Chat GPT and said, give me this format, which is the same as he would take the test in. Give me a practice test. And then I said, okay, here's what I need to do. I need to put it on a website. It created me a GitHub account. I created a website. I sent him the link via text. He was coming out of baseball practice. On your way home, go to this link that I texted him, and he filled in the answers to the questions, and it sent the responses back to me. All of that in like 12 minutes.
And the link was a website
The,
created by the
the
robot.
link was a link to the website that ChatGPT helped me create that via GitHub.
Nice.
I've never used those before in my life, and in like 12 minutes, guided me right how to do it.
And the website, what was it, hosted somewhere else, or?
It was hosted on GitHub, so it was like a
Oh, it
little.
was a
It was
GitHub website
it was a
app.
GitHub
Okay, got
website.
it, got it, got it. Okay.
Yeah, a
Um,
simple website, just simple like
yeah. So
the
Paul is
basic.
asking me a question for you. He wants to
Okay,
know, how do you get the leadership team, the executives, on board with AI because they think it's scary?
you know, I think a lot of it is through demonstration. We were talking earlier about. I mentioned very early on in the podcast about news and what news do
Mhm.
I use. This is one of the key things. I tell my AIs, and I use a lot of tasks. Okay, which I know tasks seems like a to you and I, we may think, or to your viewers might think a little bit differently. But AI tasks you can build to where it drives the information to you, but very specific. And I tell you what this looks like. Years ago, I would go to Twitter. Now it's X, and I would put in, here's the stuff I'm interested in. It learns through algorithms what you're interested in, just like TikTok does today. Um, when you can go into the AI tasks and say, I need a I need news every morning that is relevant to a large cancer center. Here's what I
Okay.
need you to know about that cancer center. Here's all the things that we're currently working on. Here are the goals we look to accomplish our next fiscal year. Here's the goals we look to accomplish in human resources. I need you to go out and find news that correlates to that across the globe, first, second, across North America, third, in the state of Florida. I need you to correlate all of those things. You need to give me summarized talking points that I can provide to the Chief Human Resources Officer and his peer cabinet members, talking points for them to speak of. And then lastly, give information for his direct reports leadership team from there. And I have it produce that to me. I weed through, slim it down, and provide that to the Chief Human Resources Officer. That
Is
gets
that
his
on a
base.
web page that you subscribe to, or like, is it just the chat? The robot gives you this every morning.
Whatever the AI is, whether it's Grok or
Mhm.
ChatGPTs, I
It look,
have multiple ones feed in because I
mhm.
like my sources coming in from everywhere. I just don't,
And they
just
all
trust
feed into
them.
like your inbox, basically.
They all feed into my inbox.
Okay, so
Right.
it
And what I
email
normally
you
do
this.
is they email them to me, and then normally what I do is I take them and I put it in my most preferred AI
Mhm.
engine, which is ChatGPT, and I say,
To
okay,
balance it
now
all out
take
or whatever.
take all of these,
Mhm.
remove any duplicities, and then from there, give me conversation points that I can provide to the CHRO, so he can spur the conversation from there with his leadership team. It's
That's
not. I'm telling
one.
you, it's not rocket science. It's really just it's knowing how to use the
It's
AI
prompting
effectively.
the search,
Correct.
prompting the correlation,
Right.
prompting the summarization, and
Right.
then you finally are the like the arbiter of quality.
Right. Right. And you know what the difference is? I mean, it's a difference in, I guess, call it generations, whatever. My brother-in-law, he's a Wall Street Journal guy. He'd be like, "Oh, I got to see the Wall Street Journal," and he knows what's published in the Wall Street Journal. Okay, this is my thing. I'm like, give me news from across the globe, but not only that, but it's relevant to what I'm doing here today, right now. That's where the rubber meets the road. These are the goals we're looking to accomplish at this facility at this day and time. Give me the news that's relevant on what I need to be ready for. And that's really where it's given me a lot of the ideas and a lot of push with different AIs, because I ask it, give me the different AI things that are out there that we need to be
Right.
prepared for.
So build their own personal news engine, basically. Well,
Absolutely.
your personal news engine for the use of for the company to use. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So to wrap things up, last question that I had for you, and then we can get you some of the. There's a couple things I do when I close. Um, and this one comes from Paul as well. Why do you think TA teams aren't using VO to make Bigfoot recruiting videos?
So
He showed me the gorilla one, by the way.
yeah. VO's new. I've used it myself. It's not perfect. It does come down to prompting. It
But you
takes
could
a
build
lot
it.
of
You could build a
practice.
fun video. Is that not the right like
No, no, no.
you
I
could
would
do it?
absolutely do it. Why
You could do
not?
it.
You could absolutely do
So
it.
there's the
Now, I think
question.
companies would be a little apprehensive.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, is that our branding?
The
But
branding, yeah.
here's the thing. There's a guy, and you know what? On LinkedIn, he did an AI video for, and it was aired during the NBA Finals. PJ Asaturo. Okay,
Okay.
PJ Asaturo, and he's a guy. He's got a little bit of a marketing background, but he's not by any means a production designer or anything like that. He was asked, and for like $2,000, he did an all AI video with VO3, and it aired during the NBA Finals.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you're ever interested in seeing that, but
I'm gonna go
that's
check it
the
out.
world. That's where we are right now. I mean, think about how long VO3's been out, and when the NBA Finals was. The timing was it's crazy. It really, really is.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
So first of all, thanks a lot for taking time to, especially last minute here. This has been extremely educational. I do have two questions that I ask every guest, and I know you're kind of new to this. You didn't even know who I was before, so this might be a little bit of a surprise. I'll give you some. I'll give you a little bit of time to prep. But the two questions are this: first of all, who should be our next guest? Just like I found you through Paul,
Yeah.
who would you like to see on here, or who would you like to be interviewed, or someone that you just think you highly regarded, respected, and had something interesting to say for our community.
If you could,
I'll reach out. Uh-huh.
I just mentioned PJ Asaturo.
Okay, that's true. You
Listen,
did.
if you could get him, that would be on the heels of the conversation we just had. I think that's the next big thing. Here's the thing: when you think of video and stuff like that, it's everywhere. I mean, that's the thing. People are into the small little snippets of stuff. It's in
Mhm.
the palm of my hand. Here it is. If you could get PJ, that would be fantastic. Um, as a backup to that, hmm, I'd have to think about that. Maybe let's go to your next question then.
Okay, all right. The next question is sort of a philosophical one. A lot of folks read the transcription or view or watch this over the weekend because they can't come on Fridays at 1. And so I want to give them something to think deeply about for themselves. So I ask all my guests to give us a question that we should ask ourselves introspectively, after we listen to the show. Something that we ask her. No, give us the answer. Just give us the question we should prompt ourselves with.
This is an easy one because this is not only a question. This is a question that I started asking myself when I became an Air Force recruiter. And for those people that may or may not know me, I was the most decorated recruiter that the Air Force has had. Okay, that's something I didn't. You can obviously see. Thank you. I toot my own horn there, but
You should.
I always,
Goddamn. Woo!
yeah,
All
I
right.
always ask myself, if you're not trying to be number one, what number are you trying to be? Coming into work, at home as a dad, at home as a husband. If I'm not trying to be the best husband possible, the best dad possible, what am I trying to be? Am I just trying to,
Am I just
man,
trying to be on the list? Or am
right,
I,
right.
I'm not going to answer that right now because I have to think about it. That's a really good one. That's a really, really good one. Are you shooting for number one, or are you just shooting for top 1,000, or do you not even want to be on the list? Yeah, because you
Right.
got to plan for it if you're going to do it. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Dude, this was absolutely fantastic. I feel like you and I are like brothers from another mother. I definitely have the passion that you have for AI, so we should keep in touch for sure.
Absolutely.
Would love to have you back on the show. If there's anything I can do to help you with your AI initiatives, don't hesitate to reach out. And man,
Likewise.
yeah. So, folks, for everybody that's out there, if you're interested in coming back, Friday, it's the 4th of July, but we do have a guest. Our guest coming up is the on the 4th of July is Adam Kovacs. He is from the Talent Foundation. So it should be an interesting one. So we'll hopefully see you back here tomorrow, not tomorrow, next Friday for Shally's Alley. Until then, be kind to yourselves. Bye, everybody.